Sir Sam Neill is one of those rare actors who feels like a permanent fixture of international cinema. Over 5 decades, he transitioned from New Zealand documentary filmmaking to outrunning dinosaurs in Jurassic Park. Usually, when a legendary figure faces their own mortality, they reach for a specific tool, the legacy-building memoir. It's a chance to polish a public image, list accolades, and settle a few professional scores. But Neill's path to writing was a collision of timing and crisis. In March 2022, while on a press tour for Jurassic World Dominion, he was diagnosed with stage 3 angioimmunoblastic T-cell lymphoma. The diagnosis forced him into immediate isolation and a grueling regimen of chemotherapy, trading red carpets for sterile rooms and clinical observation. Rather than hiring a ghostwriter to cement his status as a cinematic icon, Neill began writing in a frantic, unpolished burst. He wasn't trying to curate a brand. He was simply trying to stay sane. While standing in what he called death's corridor, Neill produced the least self-serious autobiography in Hollywood history, one that prioritizes the trivial over the monumental. Neill is candid about his motivation. He was crook, possibly dying, and writing was a way to burn through the hours spent in treatment. This chart tracks that specific window of time in 2022. On one axis, we see the intensity of his chemotherapy doses. On the other, the cumulative word count of his manuscript. The two lines rise in tandem, a creative explosion occurring over a few months. He admits the work was flung together in haste, written without the traditional filter an actor uses to protect their public standing. He used the time to look back at his roots, from his birth in Ireland to his family's relocation to Christchurch when he was 7. He frames his later pivot to acting not as a calculated climb, but as a series of unpredictable turns of fortune that led him from the National Film Unit to the global stage. The resulting structure mirrors a mind in crisis, a spiral that jumps between past joys and present suffering, because his future was no longer a certainty. Most celebrity memoirs promise a peek behind the curtain of major film sets. Neill, instead, chooses to spend an entire chapter recounting a bowel movement. The text is full of these wild diversions, from musings on whale biology to the genuine pleasure he finds in the companionship of pigs. He devotes significant space to his 2 paddocks vineyard, presenting winemaking as his primary, grounding connection to the land, rather than a celebrity side project. Reviewers have likened the book to a one-way dinner party conversation. It values humor, gossip, and cheeky self-deprecation over a list of professional achievements. By focusing so intently on the trivial and the absurd, Neill was making a choice. He was using the small things to hold on to life, rather than succumbing to the solemnity of illness. After undergoing experimental treatments, Neill is now in remission. He remains on maintenance chemotherapy, but describes himself as alive and well. His brush with the terminal hasn't left him somber. He admits he isn't afraid to die, but says it would annoy him because he values his daily life too much to leave it. What began as a survival tactic evolved into a blueprint for facing mortality, one that removes the vanity and self-importance usually attached to global fame. Though the book was written for an intimate audience of family and friends, that exact honesty is what made it a global bestseller. The final lesson of the memoir is simple. When facing the end, the reflections that matter aren't the roles you played for others, but the idiosyncratic, personal things that made you feel most like yourself.